The planet Tarsk 4 was a green world of endless jungles, steaming rivers and ancient ruins older than most of the known species in the galaxy. The air was heavy, full of the scent of life and decay mixed together. Strange insect-like creatures buzzed among glowing plants, and the ground was always wet with mist. On this wild planet, a group of alien scientists had built a research camp. They came from the Galactic Union, a community of hundreds of species spread across the stars. They were here to study the ruins buried deep within the jungle, hoping to find evidence of the old Treskari Empire that once ruled this sector, thousands of years ago. Among them was Lieutenant Elias Ward, the only human in the entire team. He had joined the expedition as a field archaeologist from Earth. Humans were new to the Galactic Union, young, inexperienced, and often treated as an amusing species. The aliens liked to call humans soft-skinned apes or primitive mammals. Some said it as a joke. Others meant it. Elias didn't argue. He just smiled and kept working. He was tall, lean, and always covered in mud. His brown hair stuck to his forehead under the heat, and his uniform was never clean. While the alien scientists used drones, hover scanners, and high-tech sensors to map the ruins, Elias preferred simple tools and brushes, shovels, and scanners he had modified himself. That made him look even more primitive to them. Human. "You are wasting your time again," said Dr. Vreek, a Treskari archaeologist with 4 eyes and silver scales. His voice carried a sharp, clicking tone. "Your hands cannot do what our drones can. Efficiency is the law of science." Elias looked up from the pit he was digging. "Efficiency is great," he said, wiping sweat from his face. "But sometimes patience finds things machines miss." Vreek clicked his tongue. "You humans and your romantic ideas. History is not a storybook. It is data." Elias only shrugged. "Then let me collect my data my way." The aliens laughed quietly among themselves. They saw him as stubborn and old-fashioned. But Elias had learned something long ago. You couldn't find the soul of history by standing far away. You had to feel it. You had to touch the dirt and understand what it was hiding. That night, a storm rolled over the jungle. The rain came in heavy sheets and thunder shook the sky like a great drum. The aliens locked their drones and equipment inside the research domes. Even the Treskari, who were known for their toughness, stayed under cover. But Elias couldn't sleep. He was reading the latest scans from his handheld device when he noticed a strange signal, a repeating geometric pattern. It wasn't natural. It wasn't from the ruins they were studying either. It came from deep within the northern jungle, several kilometers away. He checked twice. The signal pulsed again, faint but steady. The coordinates didn't match any known site. No one had reported any structures in that region. It could have been a glitch. Alien scanners often refused to work properly in the stormy atmosphere of Tarsk 4. But something about the pattern caught his attention. It was too perfect. He grabbed his raincoat, flashlight, and scanner. The jungle at night was alive. Every step squelched in wet mud. Glowing insects flew like tiny stars between the leaves. The sound of animals echoed through the darkness, hissing, clicking, growling. Elias kept walking, guided by the signal on his handheld. The rain beat against his helmet. The trees stretched high, their roots twisting like serpents. Sometimes he had to crawl under vines or climb over fallen trunks. It was exhausting, but he pushed on. He didn't know why, only that something deep inside him told him to keep going. After almost 2 hours, the signal grew stronger. He reached a clearing surrounded by giant ferns. His scanner flashed red, then white, showing a massive energy source buried underground. The pattern of the pulse was rhythmic like a heartbeat. Elias looked around. There was nothing visible on the surface. Then lightning struck nearby, lighting up the clearing for a brief moment, and in that flash he saw it, a metallic surface, just beneath the layers of roots and moss. Elias fell to his knees and brushed away the wet soil. The metal underneath was dark, almost black and smooth as glass. It didn't match any alien alloy he knew. There were markings carved into it, geometric lines, circles, and faint letters. He wiped them carefully, and then he froze. The letters weren't alien. They were Latin characters. He couldn't read the full word, but he could make out part of it. Ugh, his breath caught in his throat. Could it be eagle? But that made no sense. Humanity had never built starships capable of crossing galaxies, not in recorded history. The signal grew louder, as if reacting to his touch. His scanner beeped wildly. The storm above intensified. Elias stared at the metal, soaked and speechless. "Who buried you here?" he whispered. The next morning, when the storm ended, the alien scientists found Elias sleeping beside the pit, covered in mud. "What have you done now, human?" Freak asked, annoyed. "You left camp during the storm? You could have died." Elias sat up, rubbing his eyes. "I found something," he said simply. The aliens followed him to the site. When they saw the exposed metal surface, they were unimpressed. "Old satellite debris," said one. "A fragment of Traskeri metal," said another. "Worthless," said Dr. Vreek, but Elias shook his head. "No, look at the markings. They examined them and frowned." "Unknown script," Vreek admitted. "Possibly decorative." "Nothing more." Elias smiled. "That's not alien writing. That's human." The aliens laughed. "Impossible. Humans could not travel this far before joining the Union. Your people are barely spacefaring." "Maybe," Elias said. "But this metal says otherwise." Over the next few days, Elias worked nonstop. He requested excavation equipment, but the aliens refused to waste resources, so he did it by hand. Day after day, he dug through mud, rain, and tangled roots. The aliens watched from a distance, shaking their heads. They joked about the crazy human archaeologist who played in the dirt. But slowly, piece by piece, the buried structure revealed itself. The metal stretched far in every direction. It wasn't just a fragment. It was the hull of a giant ship. He found more writing, all in broken English. Words like command, system, and access. He found what looked like weapon mounts, reinforced plating, and an emblem, faint but unmistakable. A two-headed eagle with spread wings. Elias stood before it, heart pounding. The emblem was almost the same as one used by old Earth militaries, something from the forgotten ages before the Unification Wars. It was as if history itself had come back to life. The aliens grew curious. They sent a few drones to scan the site. The results confused them even more. The alloy didn't match any known Traskeri or galactic material. It was self-repairing, still giving off weak power signals even after thousands of years. Dr. Vreek confronted Elias again. "You are suggesting this is human technology? That is absurd." Elias didn't look up. He was cleaning a section of metal with a small brush. "Not suggesting. I'm proving. You think your species built this? Before the Union? Before we even knew you existed?" "Maybe," Elias said quietly. "Maybe we forgot who we were." That night, Elias sat beside the ship again. The jungle was calm. The stars peeked through the clouds. He turned on his recorder and spoke softly. "Field log, day 32. The structure continues deeper than expected. Estimated length exceeds 300 meters. Possible ancient warship. Composition unknown. All evidence points to human origin. The others don't believe me. That's fine. They don't have to. I just need to know the truth." He looked at the dark metal again. It almost seemed alive, the faint pulse still beating beneath the surface. Elias touched the hull. "Whoever you were," he said softly, "I'm going to bring you back." For a moment the air vibrated, just slightly. His scanner flickered. A faint hum passed through the ground. Morning came with golden light filtering through the jungle leaves. The air was fresh, filled with the smell of rain and soil. Birds with bright feathers sang from the high trees, and the mist still clung to the roots. The alien scientists had already started their daily work, their drones humming above the ruins, but Elias Ward was still at the northern site, the place the aliens now called the human pit. He had barely slept. His eyes were red from working through the night. He couldn't stop thinking about the faint hum he had felt from the buried ship. It wasn't imagination. Something deep inside that metal was alive, or at least, not completely dead. He was sure of it now. When the first group of alien scientists arrived to check on him, Elias was already waist-deep in the excavation trench, clearing away the last layer of soil from what looked like a command hatch. Dr. Vreek crossed his arms. "You have been digging for days, human, and yet no proof of your claim. Perhaps it is time you rest." Elias grinned without looking up. "Rest when history sleeps again," he said. "History does not sleep. You are chasing ghosts." "Maybe. But sometimes ghosts have stories worth hearing." Vreek hissed softly, the Traskeri version of a sigh, and turned away. "You humans are obsessed with emotion. Science is about facts, not feelings." Elias laughed under his breath. Maybe that's why we find what others miss. The day grew hotter. Sweat ran down his neck, mixing with mud. His hands hurt, but he didn't stop. The more he cleared, the more of the structure appeared. It had angular plating and a thick door covered with dust and vines. Then he noticed something strange. A small indentation beside the door. A circular slot with a faint blue glow deep inside. It looked like some kind of keyhole. Elias took out his portable scanner. The readings were unstable. Too much interference from the metal itself. It wasn't just a dead hull. The ship's systems were still generating faint energy, almost like a heartbeat in sleep. He placed his hand near the glowing slot. The scanner beeped rapidly, then shut down completely. What the? He tapped it, but it didn't respond. Then, slowly, the glow inside the slot brightened. The aliens nearby noticed the light. They shouted warnings and pulled back. "Human, move away," one of them cried. "It could be a defense system." Elias stepped back cautiously, his heart pounding. The glowing circle began to rotate and the air filled with a deep humming sound. The soil trembled. Small rocks rolled across the ground. "Energy surge," someone yelled. "Contain it," shouted Vreek, his drones moving in panic. But before anyone could act, a powerful wave of light shot upward from the buried ship, cutting through the jungle canopy. It reached far into the sky, a column of blue energy piercing the clouds. Birds scattered. The forest animals ran. The alien scientists screamed and scrambled for cover. Elias shielded his eyes, staring at the light with awe. "It's waking up," he whispered. Then just as suddenly, the light faded. The humming stopped. The jungle fell silent again except for the sound of dripping rain. Everyone froze. Vreek slowly turned to Elias. "What did you do?" "I think—" Elias breathed. "I just said hello." For the rest of the day, chaos ruled the research camp. The Galactic Union safety protocols were triggered. Communication beacons sent distress signals to orbit. They feared a weapon, a reactor meltdown, or worse, an unknown pre-Union technology awakening. The scientists wanted to leave. But the Union's command center in orbit ordered them to stay. They wanted data, not panic. And in the middle of it all stood Elias, still staring at the now active hatch of the ship. He didn't feel afraid. He felt connected. Something about the ship's design and the symmetry, the proportions, spoke to him in a way alien tech never had. It was human. He could feel it in his bones. That night, while the aliens argued about evacuation, Elias returned to the site alone. The jungle was quiet and the sky was clear. The buried ship looked like a sleeping giant, half awake. The glow around the hatch was brighter now, steady and calm. He placed his hand on the metal again. "I don't know who built you," he said softly, "but I think you've been waiting for someone like me." The metal under his hand grew warm. Suddenly, a voice spoke, not in the air but directly inside his mind. Biometric pattern recognized. Human genome detected. Authorization, pending. Please state identification. Elias froze. The voice was female, calm and mechanical. He looked around, but there was no one else there. He swallowed hard. Lieutenant Elias Ward, Earth, Archaeological Corps. Identity confirmed. Command status provisional. Authorization level restricted. System reboot commencing. The ground shook again. The entire jungle seemed to vibrate. Light spread across the hull. Thin lines glowing one by one, outlining the shape of the ship. It was huge, far larger than Elias had imagined. The structure extended under the ground like a buried fortress. Trees bent as invisible energy fields activated, clearing the area around it. The soil began to fall away, pushed by magnetic force, and then the impossible happened. The ship rose. Slowly, majestically, the ancient warship lifted from the jungle floor, roots snapping, vines falling away. The air filled with dust and light. The aliens who had come to watch stood frozen in shock, their eyes wide. Dr. Vreek whispered, "By the stars." The warship hovered above the clearing, its hull shining like obsidian and silver. On its side, letters became visible through the centuries of dirt. Aegis Prime, Terran Defense Fleet. Elias felt his chest tighten. "Terran," he whispered. That was Earth's old name. The ship's voice echoed again, this time aloud. "Aegis Prime operational. Power at 12%. Weapons offline. AI core stable. Welcome, human commander." The aliens started shouting in panic. Some called their ships in orbit. Others tried to run. "It's a weapon," cried one. "No species in the Union can build this," shouted another. "We must inform the council immediately." Elias ignored them. He stepped forward, staring at the holographic interface that had appeared in front of the ship. It displayed ancient human symbols, all perfectly readable to him. "AI system," he said slowly. "What are you?" "I am Athena, artificial intelligence of the Terran Defense Fleet. This vessel was constructed in the 34th human century. Mission: protect and preserve humanity." Elias blinked. 34th century? That's impossible. Humanity didn't exist back then. "Correction," the AI said calmly. "Human civilization achieved interstellar status 41,000 years ago. Current database indicates catastrophic loss of records. I have remained in standby mode since." Elias couldn't breathe. His mind spun. The galaxy thought humans were new, a young, fragile race. But if what Athena said was true, humans had once ruled the stars long before anyone else. They had forgotten their own past. The alien scientists surrounded him now, shouting questions. "Human, shut it down. You cannot control it." This could start a war. But Elias didn't hear them. He looked up at the warship, this magnificent relic of his species, and felt something powerful rising inside him. For years, humans had been the punchline of alien jokes. Weak, naive, curious, but not dangerous. Now the galaxy would see the truth. "AI," he said firmly. "Reactivate visual systems." Acknowledged. A holographic projection appeared above the ship, a glowing map of stars, colonies, and lost fleets. Names of planets scrolled by, all human. The aliens gasped. "Those worlds? They do not exist in any galactic record." Elias nodded slowly. "Maybe they used to," Athena's voice continued, calm and ancient. "Humanity's empire stretched across 3,000 systems. During the final collapse, knowledge was lost. Survivors were scattered. This vessel was ordered to hide, awaiting rediscovery by a true human." Freak stared at Elias, his silver eyes wide. "You are telling me your kind built an empire before any of us?" Elias smiled faintly. "Seems like it." Suddenly the ground trembled again, but this time it wasn't from the ship. Above them, 3 galactic Union patrol ships appeared in the sky, descending fast. They had come from orbit after receiving the distress signals. One of them broadcast a message. "This is Union Patrol Vessel Varion. Identify the source of the energy surge immediately." The alien scientists stepped forward to explain, but the patrols had already locked onto the massive warship below. Their sensors scanned it for weapons. Elias could hear the rising tension in their voices. "This ship is too powerful," one said. "If it activates, it could destroy a planet." Athena spoke again. "Warning, foreign targeting systems detected. Defensive protocols ready." "Wait," Elias shouted. "Do not engage." "Defensive mode disengaged," Athena replied calmly. "Awaiting human command." Elias exhaled in relief. The aliens around him stared in silence. Even Vreek didn't speak this time. Minutes later, the patrol ships powered down their weapons. The situation stabilized. The warship remained hovering quietly above the ground, shining under the alien sun like a monument to forgotten greatness. Dr. Vreek slowly approached Elias. "You were right," he said softly. "This ship, this technology, it is beyond us." Elias looked at him. "I didn't want to prove anything, Vreek. I just wanted the truth." Vreek nodded. "Then you have found it. And now the galaxy will never see humans the same way again." Elias smiled faintly, his eyes on the warship. The Aegis Prime had waited for millennia, and now it was awake. That night, as the jungle glowed under twin moons, Elias stood on the ship's open deck. The AI spoke quietly to him. "Commander, systems are stabilizing. Would you like to initiate historical playback?" The morning after the awakening of the warship Aegis Prime, the jungle of Tarsk 4 was silent. No animals called. No insects buzzed. Even the wind seemed afraid to move. The massive ship hovered above the ground, wrapped in a soft blue glow. Its engines purred like thunder waiting to roar. Every inch of its hull shone with symbols of the old Terran Defense Fleet, marks from an age no one remembered. Around it, alien scientists worked in fear and fascination. They were no longer mocking Elias Ward. Now they whispered his name with respect, wonder, or fear. Dr. Vreek watched from a distance, his silver scales reflecting the ship's glow. "It defies every law we know," he said quietly. "How could your kind build such a thing?" Elias, standing at the base of the ship, looked up proudly. "Because humans never stop building, even when the universe tells us we can't." The Galactic Union had already sent a fleet. They were not sure what to do: investigate, protect, or destroy. Reports spread across the galaxy that a primitive human had discovered a lost warship that could outgun modern fleets. Some species were curious. Others were afraid. In less than one day, the small research outpost became the center of galactic attention. While the aliens sent messages and reports, Elias worked with Athena, the ship's AI. She had unlocked parts of her memory and now showed him old records, data files, battle logs, and images of forgotten human worlds. Each one shocked him more than the last. One projection showed a vast ring world surrounding a star. "That is the Helios Arc," Athena explained. "Human engineering completed in the 33rd century." Elias stared, speechless. "A ring around a star. We can barely build cities on Mars. Your species fell," Athena said softly, "but you can rise again." Another file showed fleets of shining human warships flying beside alien allies. "The Terran Federation once fought for the freedom of young species," Athena said. "You were protectors, not conquerors." Elias felt a strange warmth in his chest. Pride, hope. All this time, the galaxy saw humans as weak newcomers. But in truth, humans had once been the defenders of countless worlds. By the next evening, the Galactic Union ships arrived in orbit. They sent a command transmission to the surface. "This is Admiral Sroth of the Galactic Union. Human Elias Ward, you are ordered to deactivate the ancient vessel immediately. Unauthorized activation of unknown military equipment is a galactic threat." Elias stood on the deck of Aegis Prime as the message played. The alien scientists looked nervous. The Admiral's voice sounded firm, almost angry. He replied calmly, "With respect, Admiral, I'm not controlling it. I'm communicating with it." "Then end the communication. The ship must be secured by the Union." Athena's voice echoed from the speakers. "Union access denied. Only verified human command codes are authorized." The radio fell silent. The alien scientists turned toward Elias, whispering. They had never seen the Union defied so openly. Dr. Vreek said carefully, "You realize what you are doing, human? You are defying the most powerful council in the galaxy." Elias met his eyes. "I'm not defying them. I'm reminding them." "Reminding them of what?" "That humans have always earned respect, not demanded it." That night, the Union fleet sent down a small envoy ship. A team of alien officers arrived at the jungle site, heavily guarded. The leader, a tall insectoid called Admiral Sroth, approached Elias directly. "Human," the Admiral said, his voice like clicking metal. "The Galactic Union thanks you for your discovery, but the ship must be taken to a secure facility. It cannot remain under your control." Elias looked up at the massive ship behind him, its hull gleaming like silver in the moonlight. "It's not under my control, Admiral. It's responding to its rightful owner." "Humanity is not the rightful owner of anything beyond Earth," Sroth said sharply. "Your species is young. You barely understand warp travel. You cannot handle this responsibility." Elias folded his arms. "Maybe we've forgotten a lot. But that doesn't mean we didn't earn it once." The Admiral raised one sharp hand. "Deactivate it, or we will do it ourselves." Before Elias could speak, the warship's AI spoke, her voice clear and powerful. "Threat detected. Warning. This vessel is under the protection of Terran protocols. Any act of aggression will be met with equal force." Energy hummed across the hull. Blue light ran through the ship's panels like veins awakening. The aliens stepped back in panic. "Tell it to stand down," Sroth demanded. Elias raised his hand. "Athena, no weapons. Only defense mode." "Confirmed." A shimmering energy shield expanded around the ship, protecting the clearing. The air vibrated like thunder. Sroth's guards aimed their rifles, but he shouted, "Hold fire!" No one moved. For a long moment, no one spoke. The jungle was silent again. The warship hovered calmly, a sleeping beast under control. Finally, the Admiral broke the silence. "Human, what is your purpose here?" Elias looked him straight in the eyes. "To learn the truth. To remember what we were. Even if that truth changes the balance of the galaxy?" Elias nodded. "Especially then." After long discussions, the Union allowed the ship to remain under observation instead of being seized by force. The alien scientists continued to study it, this time under Elias's guidance. Inside the ship, new rooms opened every day. The deeper they went, the more astonishing things they found. Ancient control panels, cryogenic chambers, libraries of human data written in forgotten languages. One day, Athena guided Elias into a circular chamber filled with holographic stars. In the center floated a small crystal cube glowing softly. "This is the Heart Archive," Athena said. "It contains the final message of the Terran Federation." Elias picked up the cube carefully. "Play it." The room darkened. A projection appeared, a human woman wearing an old-style uniform. Her eyes were tired but proud. "To whoever finds this, we are the last of the old Terran fleet. The stars are falling silent. But we will not give up. We leave behind our knowledge and our hope. One day humanity will rise again, not as conquerors but as guardians of the light." The image faded. Elias stood in silence. He whispered, "We really did lose everything." "But you found it again," Athena said softly, "and that is what makes humanity strong. You fall, but you always rise." The Galactic Union finally sent scholars and historians from across the stars. They studied the ship's technology and old records. Slowly, they began to accept the truth, that humans were not the youngest race, but one of the oldest. The news spread like fire. Everywhere, aliens began to look at humans differently. They remembered how humans had survived against all odds, how they adapted, how they kept exploring even without great power or advanced technology. Now, they understood why. It was in their blood. A few weeks later, the Galactic Union Council sent a message directly to Elias Ward. "Lieutenant Ward, the discovery of Aegis Prime has rewritten galactic history. We invite you to represent humanity at the Union's Great Assembly to share your findings." Elias accepted. When he arrived at the Great Assembly, a vast hall where thousands of alien species gathered, all eyes turned toward him. Some curious, some doubtful, some full of respect, he stood before them and spoke simply. "Most of you thought we were weak," he began. "You laughed at humans. You called us primitive, emotional, reckless. Maybe you were right about the reckless part, but you were wrong about the rest." He paused, looking around the hall. "Humanity doesn't give up. We don't stop learning, we don't stop trying, and we never stop believing that tomorrow can be better. Maybe we forgot our history, but we never lost our spirit. That's what makes us human." The hall was silent. Even the oldest alien delegates looked thoughtful. Elias finished softly. "We are not here to rule. We are here to remember and to build again." When he stepped down, the chamber filled with the sound of applause, not just from humans, but from every corner of the galaxy. Weeks later, back on Tarsk 4, Elias stood once again beneath the Aegis Prime. The ship now served as a living museum, a place where humans and aliens came together to learn about the lost history of Earth's golden age. Dr. Vreek joined him. "You changed everything, human," he said quietly. "No one laughs at your kind anymore." Elias smiled. "Good, but I didn't do it alone." "She did." He looked up at the ship. "Correction," Athena said through the speakers. "We did it together." Elias laughed. "Yeah, together." That evening, as the sun set behind the jungle trees, Elias walked up the ramp and stood on the bridge one last time. The stars were coming out, millions of them, bright and endless. Athena spoke softly. "Commander, new coordinates have been detected. There may be more vessels like me waiting." Elias looked up at the stars and smiled. "Then we've got work to do." The engines of Aegis Prime hummed to life again. The blue glow grew brighter. Slowly, the great ship rose through the clouds, leaving the jungle behind. From the ground, the aliens watched in awe as the human ship disappeared into the night sky, a symbol of rediscovered glory.